Yo, greetings. Welcome to Ralph Reads, brought to you by TURN, the United Ronin Networks. My name is Ralph Anthony Garcia, also known as R4, the legal, loyal, regal, royal Ronin Ralph, your master of ceremonies. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tune in to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. Join the channel for 99 cents a month or better. Please, again, tell a friend to tune in. Tell their friends to tell their friends, and everybody to tune in to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. On tonight's edition of Ralph Reads, we breeze through the halfway point of this joint, Andrew Stonewall Jackson's Gentleman Pimp, copyrighted 1973. With this book and this mic, I will swing for the fence. Let the reading commence. Chapter 12. I soon got hot, and the police were looking for me all over town. I checked out the hotel where Corey, Marie, and me once lived and got a room in a small hotel right across the street. I had left Marie. Corey had left me because of what had been telling her about me being a dope addict, and because I had shot up all her Easter outfit money and had to have the land prop let me use her charge account to get her the outfit with. Of course, as you read this book, you'll see where I had Corey 2 more times in my life. But right now, all I had was Satin Doll, who was by all means a true gem of a girl. I got a front room in this small hotel so I could dig the law when they came by the hotel across the street looking for me. I called my land prop and hipped her to the jam I was in and told her I'd see her when it was possible. I was sure nobody knew about my land prop's pad, and I prayed they wouldn't get hit, because if they went to her place, they no doubt would run into something that would cause her some smell. When I was in my hideout, I saw a lawman when he came to the hotel looking for me, and I dug him quizzing Marie about where I was, and I was kinda worried because the bitch knew where I was. She didn't open up on me then, but the bitch made many trips from the bar to the hotel, and at every trip she stand out front and laugh real loud like she was the happiest half-breed nigga in the world. I just didn't trust Marie. I didn't really know what she would do, so I made up my mind to set Detroit down. I told Satin to pick up her things because we were splitting the city tonight or in the morning. While she was gone to get her things, I called the bus station to find out how far our bread would take us, and Cleveland was it. While Marie was still rubbing salt in the wound with her laughter like life was all roses with her, Satin and me slipped out the city early in the morning. By the time we got to Cleveland and checked into the Majestic Hotel, we had $5 to our name. Satin had all her things, but I didn't have a change in socks. After we were set in a hotel, I took Satin and we copped a cab out front and had the driver to take us to 39 in Scoville, where I had the same pal that was selling the boo back in the hotel where I just split from. During one of my many trips to Cleveland, I had seen him and he told me he had 2 girls that worked on 39th Street. The hack pulled up and stopped at the bar, and I got out and dug the edge. Had about a dozen girls selling their things, and one of them was my man's woman. After we got through helloing and I introduced my girl, I asked where her man was, and she told me he was home and pointed to the house. I asked her to help Satin cut her teeth, and after she said she would, I went to look up my man. When I knocked on the door, I knew he was still doing his thing from the cloak and dagger shit it took before I could get inside. Once I was inside, I dug 3 dope addicts squatting and doing it Jones. And for as many addicts that I know in Ohio, these 3 were strangers to me. Me and Jim went through that long time no see shit and that how you been doing, boy, and who you got now thing. After the junkie split, Jim gave me a fix, and it hit me harder than the stuff in Detroit. I gave him a rundown on how I happened to be in Cleveland, and I pulled his coat to the fact that his uptown pad still had the police padlock on it. Jim was groovy with me, but he had an odd way of taking care of his business. Jim was the only guy I knew that had a shooting gallery where you can cop a speedball by buying a half-cap a girl and a half-cap a boy and take it off right there. He also was a guy that also liked having $1 bills. This guy used to kill me. He could have $1,000 in his slid, with most of it being $1 bills, and this egg would break a 20 just for a pack of cigarettes. While we rapped, junkies came in and copped their speedballs, ran them, and split. I hunched him to the fact that I had left my girl, with his piece, on the edge and asked her to break her into the action. I then hit for a breakdown on the chips around the edge for a girl, and he said, "Baby, the money is honey, but most of the tricks are black. Tricks, Stonewall, means you gotta have a real strong and healthy girl. If not, she'll break down on you." I thought to myself, this black-ass nigga said the bread was swell, and at the same time, he got a dope sack and living in his outhouse he called his pad. Plus, he's got 2 girls. Hish, I'd be lucky if this edge would bring me another night's rent at the hotel. "Jim, old dude," I said, "what time do the girls call it a day?" 7:08 in the morning, unless a blessing happens." "Good," I said. "At least that'll give me a good chance of getting off E." After I made that crack, Jim set out some more boy and girl. I put heat to the boy and dropped the girl in on him and drew it into the dropper till the cotton turned white. At this stage in my life, I had plenty plush veins and could hit without tying up. Once I got hit, I ran it all in and pulled the point out. All during the time I've used stuff, I never toyed around with it. Once it was in, that was that to me. A lot of fellows liked cash once they struck red. They would play with it till the point would plug up on them. But to me, this kind of hish was all in the mind. 'Cause once the dope was in you, pumping it adds nothing to the bang. Well, as always, the girl hit me first, and then the boy set in on top of her, and that made everything cool. Goofing and crazy, wailing, and I was as relaxed as a slab of liver. As I was enjoying the groove I was in, Jim said, "Let's go get some coffee and see how the girls are doing." Jim, baby, I said. I ain't got no bread. I told you I had to split Detroit, and the rush of the thing caused me to leave on E. Man, I may have to hit on you for a buck or two. Old Jim reached in his kick and laid $50 on me. And now, I was sure to get over the hump without sweat. Even if Satin didn't break luck, I could pay rent for another few nights. And since I knew another girl in Cleveland that once lived in Detroit that was a star booster, I could hook Satin up with her during the day and put her on 39th Street during the nights. The fact that Satin was another Corrie made me feel even better about success. Satin Doll was a real trooper as far as being a was concerned, and she was a top-notch booster. She was short and cute and had a good enough to sop with a biscuit. She also had a way with men. In short, I'd say she was a better money getter than both of Jim's girls together. Satin was a trick could score a 3-base hit with, and at the same time, she'd be trying to beat him. Yeah, I couldn't miss with a rib like my Satin Doll. I knew if Jim's people broke her in right, and if any bitch on the edge made money, Satin would be one of them. Out of the dozens of girls that were on the edge, only one of them looked halfway as good as Satin did, and the rest of them looked like diseases. Jim didn't know I'd lost Corrie. I found this out when he said, "It'll be good to see Corrie. It's been a long time, you know." Corrie, I said, left me in Detroit for some other Left you? He said. I know it wasn't without a fight. I know what a good girl she was to you. Fight? It don't go like that, I said. No, Jim, there was no fight. In fact, I held his hand, wished him luck, and hipped him to what she was worth to me each week and told him not to let her cheat him. Of course, I was never more drunk in my life, but you know how it goes. Cop and blow. It's the name of the game. Some do, some don't. Some can, some can't. But nothing stops life, Jim. Jim and I went to the sweet shop where the girls spent time cheating. We were about to order coffee and toast when Satin and Jim's girl came in. I could look at Satin and know she broke luck, so I said to Satin, "Say, girl, feel like packing?" And I said hi to Jim's rib.
"Yeah, Daddy,"
she said.
"Order me a chicken dinner while I go straighten myself out."
"Yeah, I could dig it," I said. She turned and smiled and entered the hen's room. Jim and his rib took a squat at the counter. I got up and went to the jukebox and pressed 5 buttons and came back to the table. Satin came out the hen's room and took a squat in front of me. "How things go, sweetheart?"
"Slow,"
she said.
"And it was a drag. Daddy, do you know all these bitches are phony? And Daddy, I mean phony."
"Now, Doll," I said, "run it to me just like it was."
"Daddy,"
she said,
"they seem to dislike a girl that gets down to business. All but 2 of them like to sit, sip suds, and bullshit all night."
"Don't sweat it, honey. Just do your thing and let them sit and sip and bullshit all they wanna. I'm getting up looking for us an apartment. In fact, I ain't going to bed. I'm gonna just stay up and find us a place. And Satin baby, while I'm up looking for the place, I'm gonna try and find Big Nell and her man Sid. Once I find them, you'll be able to start stealing with her. And little Doll, I want you to listen to her. She knows what's happening here in Ohio. Satin baby, you know right now we're a bit uptight, and we both will have to push on it till it gets silky. And once I get you some kind of help, you can relax,
Daddy,
she said.
forget about the hell. I don't want you to have another girl. Darling, I'm as good as 3 ribs myself and you know it. So forget about that shit.
I told Jim I'd see him later, and I took Satin to the hotel. I told her I'd see her when I got back from getting the apartment and tracking Nell down. I got an apartment over the Cedar Gardens on 97th and Cedar, and I got a make of where the 2 people lived that I wanted to see. After we moved into our new place, I ran Nell and Sid down and got my rib Satin hooked up with Big Nell. Satin and Nell were doing their thing together in grand style, and Satin was doing her humping bit at night. Things were really shaping up fast, and Cleveland was like any other city or town. Things was really shaping up fast, and Cleveland was like any other city or town to me. I felt right in the groove of things, and I got hip to the city quick. I hooked up with a fellow named Art who was tight with many of the Italian mob. He was also righteous with a cat that owned a place on Quincy Street. He and I got tight enough for us to get down on a few fat strings together. My man Art owned a city block in the 60s off Cedar Avenue, and he didn't fuck around with stuff. By that, I mean he didn't have a habit, but he did blow a little girl every now and then. We turned large amounts of boy and girl, but with him it was the bread, and sometime he'd blow some girl, like I said. He knew I had an oil burner, but he also knew I never once tried to get him to use during all the time we were running buddies. I didn't want to see him blow all his pads, and God knows using stuff would cause him to blow. If you ever used drugs, you know whatever world you lived in would soon come to an end, and you'd find yourself living in a brand new one. You see, I really liked the guy, and I didn't want to be a part of seeing him fail. And I know a drug habit will cause anyone to fail, and fail fast. After 5 months of getting major league bread, I copped me a brand new hog, just like my man's. The only thing different in our wheels were the tags. One night, after I'd had the wheel about a month, I was parked on the edge of 39th and Scarville, waiting on Satin, and a big black detective, who I'll call Ned, walked up to the car and said,
"They call you Stonewall, don't they?"
"Yeah," I said. "Some call me that. Why?"
"Then,"
he cracked,
"you got a girl called Satin that works on this corner. Am I right so far?"
"Yeah," I said. "Some call her that, and she kills some time around here. Why?"
"Well, Stonewall,"
he said,
"I'm Detective Ned, and I'm a vice here in Cleveland, and I got the wire that you and your woman are out of Detroit. Is that right?"
"Yup, you caught the right dice," I said. "I've been to all the big towns. Why? What's the quiz all about?"
"Well, Stonewall, the point is, I want you and that woman of yours to get out of Cleveland by the end of the week."
The thought that hit my mind was that this guy was trying to get him some bread other than his pay. So I said, "Detective Ned, I can dig it, and I ain't hard to get along with, and I'm sure we could reach an adult understanding with each other. Just read it out."
"Look,"
he said,
"I've told you what you had to do, and if you're wise, you'll start doing it now, and baby, you can ice that static and start making your move."
"Look, Ned, I can't pull up just like that. This car was bought here in Cleveland and has to be paid for right here in Cleveland. What do you want me to do? Tell him you ran me out of town?
Listen, Stonewall. Since you gotta pay for that car here, you can stay, but just keep that girl of yours off this spot. Is that understood?
Yeah, I said. I'll take care of it. Can I ask you, just why me and my rib? After all, there are quite a few girls on this edge.
Just you do as I say, and stop quizzing me about it.
Well, as things were, I couldn't do too much fat-mouthing about it because of how I had to split Detroit, and since I didn't want to bring up any old news, I accepted it without a word of protest. After thinking his words over, I couldn't find anything in them that said I had to stay off the edge, so it had to be the bullshit bitches that put him on satin to get her off that corner. I went into the bar, copped a Coke, and waited on Satin. Before I finished the Coke, Satin walked in and took a squat next to me. After she'd taken a squat, I'd asked her to get a taste, and after she had copped her vodka and orange juice, I said, "Sandor, I just had a visit by a big black that knew all about me and you. The called me by my name, and he called you by your name. He knew we were out of Detroit." Just as I was about to tell her and what he had to say, she broke in and said,
Daddy, I betcha I could tell you who he was, and I knew it was gonna happen. The name was Ned, and he was a big, black, funky wasn't he?
"Satin, my love, you hit the nail on the head, but how come you know who he was?"
Sweetheart, it's like I told you from the jump. These are all bullshit traps, and every one of them are named Ned for nothing. He hit on me, and I iced him and told him just how much it would cost him. I could dig it, Daddy, if the did anything to help a girl when she gets uptight. But that black motherfucker ain't gonna do a damn thing for any bitch when he needs to. I let the fool know he wasn't any different from any other trick that comes to this edge. And baby doll, that burned him up. It was just tonight he called me a bunch of dirty names and told me I wouldn't be around here by the weekend. So, sweetheart, that sucker is just living up to his words.
I guess he got a make on me from the that he on the corner, I said. Whatever the does, he is still the police. There's nothing for us to do but give him some air. You see, little mama, there are times when you gotta bend with the wind or break, and right now it's bending time. Baby, that guy hangs out at the barbershop across the street from us. I've seen him damn near every day, and I wasn't hip to his hold card. I wonder why Art never told me about him.
Daddy, Art might have thought you were wise to him.
Well, Tidbit, I said, since this is your last night on this edge, you got something you want to say to the tramps before you set them down?
You must be a mind reader. You know I want to call them all a bunch of dirty, stinky, funky, bum-ass bitches.
Okay, baby. We'll drive around the block and stop in front of them, and you can speak your piece, whatever it is. Later, I parked the car in the rear of the pad and walked across the street to the restaurant that was owned by Robin, a West Indian female of about 40 and real black in color. She and I had a few times, and she was dead set on not giving anyone that even thought. Once inside the restaurant, I walked over to where Robin was behind the checkout counter, riding shotgun over the bread that was being taken in for the grits that was going out. "Hi, Lady Robin. How are you?"
"Oh, Stoney, you startled me. I'm fine, and I'm just living for our date tonight. I went and got me a new riding habit this morning, and I feel like riding a wild horse. Stoney, I really feel like doing everything with you tonight. Everything, sweetheart."
Chapter 13. I took a squat and ordered something to pack for myself and ate it while Robin sat at the table and rapped. When I got done eating and rapping, I ordered something for Robin. While I was waiting on the food for Satin, I wondered just how long it was going to be before I found a way to trim Robin out of some kind of bread. When the food came for Satin, I walked over to the checkout counter and held Robin by the hand real tight, yet tenderly, and told her I'd see her in time for our date and not split. I'd stop paying for the food the same day Robin and I started to When I pulled up in front of my man's house, I dug his ride was bent up in the front. I parked and went in, and as I rang the bell, the plot Robin was already in my mind.
Man, he said, you never would believe how it happened. Stoney, dig this. Last night, when I left the hotel on Quincy, I stopped at a red light just a few blocks behind the horse wagon. And man, this dizzy horse backed up and the wagon bent me all up in front. Look, dig the repair bill. Everything on this bill is what Cadillac service says has to be repaired. Dig the bottom of the bill. $1,752.13. All because of a silly horse. Look, Stoney, I got a move to make tonight, and I want to use your ride.
Baby, I said, I insist. I got a plan that might help me rip Robin off if I take your car tonight.
What do you mean, rip off Robin?
He asked.
Dig,
I said.
You know how she feels about pimps. Well, I think I could get her to pay for the repair of your car. Stoney,
he said.
My insurance people are going to take care of it.
Yeah, I said.
Just let me have your car when I let you use mine. Dig this. We remove the tags, you give me the repair bill, and baby, tonight I think I'll trim Robin out of the $1,752.13. Then you take your car to Cadillac service and let them fix it. It's as simple as that.
Chapter 14. Satin was a bitch that had one of those real rare fuzzy cups. The kind a man runs into once in a lifetime. It's the kind of that feels like it has ribs in it. I call them washboards because it feels like your is sliding down a washboard. I can say there isn't a in the world that's as good as one of them, and I've been lucky enough to have had 3 of them in my lifetime. 2 of them were my girls, and 1 was a buddy. Yep, little Satin was blessed with 1 of them. I've often thought about a like that, why some of them felt that way, and the only reason I could come up with was perhaps it's her insides. Or maybe it was the fit of the warmth that caused it to feel that way. And I gotta have a lot of thought about the size of my and I've been told it. So this could play a part in it. At any rate, the why of it ain't the point. The point of it is there's no nowhere that's as good as one of them washboard. And my dear reader, if you're a female, you could very well have one and not know it. And if you're a male and you've had one, baby, you know just what I'm talking about. Still, however, I think a man has gotta be a bit to get that washboard effect. You know, I came close to violating the codes of the pimp game simply because of a that was blessed with one of those divine fuzzy cups. I got back to the pad and Satin, and after undressing, I slid into the bed beside her. For she still smelled nice and exciting, real clean, with fragrance that would make a headman out of a priest. And since I had a hot knot by nature, you can understand what this kind of exciting female did to a like me. She had taken off her baby doll outfit when she seen me get into bed like I came into this world. I cut the lights off and we went right into our thing. After going through the preliminaries, which had us both upset and eager for the main event, I heard and asked her to fit the. And as always, it was a bit tight from the jump. But after her became wet and was ready to accept it, things became quite easy for the joyride into outer space. Gee, but it was a thrill beyond all expression every time my slid down on those ridges in her house. We began to sweat, and the sounds of our bodies beating into each other made set even better. Satin rubbed my back and held me real tight. She bit her lips and she gave out with all the sounds of passion, and when she kissed, she hollered and screamed, and her tasty became quite sloppy with joy water. After she had done it 3 or 4 times, she wanted me to pop it to her. I tried, but as always, it never would get in, not even. And believe it or not, I couldn't get it how we and it always pissed her off. Satin was the only woman that really wanted me to every time we after trying to get it in and failing, I'd always drop it down in fashion. And right here, my dear reader, I gotta confess, looking down at her while she was on her scene with her well-rounded dump propped up in the air, really made a freak out of me. And I guess we really did look like 2 dogs. While I'd be popping it to her, she'd wiggle till we were on cue with each other. And while we wiggled, she will reach under herself and at the same time, I'd be and gee, God. But the little bitch will be going insane with those delight. We f***ed till we passed out and didn't come to life till it was 8 o'clock that night. Well, this was the night I was to rip Robin off, and I was to pick her up at 10, and Satin was to be on Euclid Avenue by 9 doing her thing. We took a bath together, and after we were done, I called a hack to take Satin to her gig. When it came, I embraced her. She gave me a big, fat, juicy taste of honey, gave her some mad money, and told her if I wasn't there, to cab it on in after she split. I looked out of the window and saw Robin's brand new Ford parked in front of her restaurant. I got clean, put my riding habit in a grip, and went to Artie's beat-up wheel and pulled around in front of Robin's place and parked. I walked in with a grim expression on my kisser. The part I planned to play was important to me in more ways than one. This act of mine had to work, and the stage was set. The joint was filled with folks from all walks of life, and my prey was sitting at her usual spot, which was indeed cashier counter. And that spot was of paramount importance to me now. I guess it was not the fact that this Robin was so dead set on not giving any chips that made her my prime desire. I just had to get her to give me the money to get that car fixed. Yeah, getting her to do that was eating at me like a cancer. When I walked up to her, she said,
"Hi, you ready for funs and thrills tonight? Say, is everything all right? You look like you're mad at the world."
"Oh, Lord, my God," I said. "The whole damn world is wrong with me."
"Daddy, what is it? Has it got anything to do with our date?"
"Sweetheart," I said, "nothing could prevent us from going out."
"Then for heaven's sake, what's wrong? What's the matter? You certainly don't appear excited about it.
Robin, I said, come outside with me just for a second. I could show you a lot better than I could tell you. After we got out front, and with tears in my eyes, I said, there, that's what's wrong with me, pointing at Art's bent-up car. Somebody up there really hates me. I touched the car as tenderly as I'd touch my mother if she was on a deathbed. While looking at the car with a bleeding heart, Robin said,
Oh, Lord, my God, what happened, Stonewall?
I told her Art's story, and then she said,
Darling, I'm sorry this happened. It'll mean you have to use my car till your insurance company fixes it.
Insurance? Robin, if I had some insurance, I wouldn't be as salty as I am. Plus, that bum that had the horse wagon was a junk man, and without a dime.
Stonewall,
She said,
do you mean you've got an investment like a Cadillac on the street and you didn't have any insurance on it?
I had it, baby, I said. But it ran out about a month ago, and I never got around to renewing it. To top things off, I got a note coming up in a few days. Gee, life can sure deal some rotten hands at times. Baby, keep from blowing the money I've already put into this car. I might have to hit the road. Of all the people in Cleveland, I only hate leaving you. With things going as bad for me as they are, I doubt if I can make the repair bill and note too.
Sweetheart,
She said.
what do you think it'll cost to repair it?
Darling, I said, I already know what it'll cost. I took it to Cadillac service as soon as it opened this morning, and here is the repair bill. I reached in my kick and got the bill that Art gave me and told her to be in for a surprise. I told her when the man is a CC&I man, the cars cost a great deal to fix. CC&I means Cadillac, Continental, and Imperial. She took the bill, and as she was reading it, I dug Art's name and tag number on it. Right after she saw the sum, I snatched it out of her hands like I was mad at the sight of it, and I balled it up as though I was going to throw it away.
Well, Stonewall, take the car to them in the morning and tell them to fix it.
I knew she meant she was going to foot the bill, but I said anyway, Robin, my love, I could have left it there this morning, but I couldn't see me getting that kind of money anyway.
Stonewall,
She said,
take it to them, tell them to have it fixed as soon as they can. And Stonewall, please, don't worry about the money. I'll take care of everything.
I grabbed Robin right there in the streets and kissed her. I held her tight and swung her around in my arms. This kind of shit made her quite happy and at the same time caused her to be a bit embarrassed. She was like a mother that had bought her child a new toy and was thrilled beyond words because the child was happy over the toy. After leaving Robin, I took my man his car. She'd given me an envelope with $2,000 in it. She had overpaid the bill by a little better than 2 bills. I moved to meet a pal in a hotel on Carnegie Avenue to get me a piece of cocaine. When I got to the hotel, I parked in the lot and walked into the lobby via the lobby instead of the bar just in case my man was there. He wasn't. So I walked to the bar from the lobby, and as I was about to enter the bar, I looked up at the desk and saw 2 Detroit detectives standing in the desk rapping with the day clerk. One of them knew me well from my Hastings Street days. So the first thing that came into my mind was that they were in Ohio to get me for that sting that I took off damn near a year ago. I moved on in the bar without them seeing me. And while I was in the bar, all kind of shit started to go through my mind. Things that I never thought about before. Like why did it take them so long to get a make on me? That I knew must have been sent to get me because he knew me. Out of all the things that passed through my mind, there was one thing that was for sure. I was too damn close to the city of Detroit. And once more, I had to split. I stepped up to the bar and said to the barmaid, "Look, Diane, when my man shows, tell him something came up, and I'll catch him later."
Will do, Stonewall.
She said. A true story in all its glory on Ralph Reads. I would like, or rather love, to thank you queens and kings, fellow royalty, for stopping by. If you would like to leave a small donation or connect with me on social media, simply go to www.solo.to/RGMC2407. Subscribe to the music channel at RGMC2407. Also subscribe to the Art of Bounce podcast on YouTube or follow the podcast on ForceFed Digital via wherever you download your favorite programs. Tune in to the next time, another day, for more in store on TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Fellow royalty, pick up a good book, read a good story, and set your good self free. I appreciate you, and I love you like cooked food. I will see you folks on the next edition of this Andrew Stonewall Jackson miniseries on Ralph Reads. You want to know what's true, man? We are only human.